Velantis Prime was a world where feelings were tangible phenomena. The Velari didn't just sense emotions. They perceived them as rippling harmonics, colors and resonances that humans couldn't detect, but that made their entire civilization remarkably transparent. Deception was nearly impossible when feelings broadcast themselves involuntarily. Ambassador Adrian Cole had spent 6 months learning to navigate this reality. Every emotion he experienced was essentially public information to any Velari nearby. His liaison officer, Meridian, helped him understand a culture where lying was functionally impossible, and emotional privacy was a foreign concept. They developed an easy working relationship, professional but warm, built on mutual respect and her patient guidance through situations where his human emotional patterns caused confusion. Adrian found her fascinating. The Velari were elegant beings, and Meridian carried herself with particular poise he'd learned to appreciate. He was careful to maintain professional boundaries, aware his attraction would be immediately obvious to her empathic senses. He kept his thoughts disciplined during their interactions, carefully controlling emotional responses. Today they were preparing for the Festival of Resonance, a major cultural event where emotional harmonies were celebrated. Adrian would be the first human to attend. Meridian was coaching him in her personal quarters, flowing architecture that seemed to breathe, surfaces shifting subtle colors in response to emotional presence. She demonstrated a traditional greeting stance, her form gracefully arranged in ways that carried specific emotional meaning. To Adrian's eyes, it was simply beautiful, the elegant curve of her posture, the way ambient light caught her form. He was watching her explain the stance's significance when his concentration slipped. Just for a moment, his carefully maintained professional distance faltered, and he thought, not speaking, just thinking, how absolutely stunning she looked. A fleeting observation, barely conscious. The kind of private appreciation that would remain completely internal in human interaction. But this wasn't human interaction. The Velari sensed emotional energy. Attraction radiated as clearly as any other feeling. The moment his thought crystallized into genuine emotional resonance, Meridian perceived it. She paused mid-explanation, expression shifting through surprise to something unidentifiable. Adrian realized what happened immediately. His inner observation had become outer broadcast. Panic flooded him, which she also sensed. "I'm so sorry," he stammered. "That was inappropriate. I wasn't trying to." Mortified, certain he just committed a catastrophic diplomatic incident. In human culture, expressing unsolicited appreciation of a colleague's form was harassment. Instead, something impossible happened. Meridian laughed. Not polite dismissal or nervous deflection, but genuine laughter. A sound like bells that resonated through the room, her emotional energy rippling with colors Adrian couldn't perceive but somehow sensed. "You felt that was something to apologize for." Meridian's amusement was evident in both voice and emotional resonance. "Adrian, I've perceived your attraction for months. Every Velari you've interacted with has sensed it. It's been rather charming watching you attempt to contain something that broadcasts itself regardless." Adrian's embarrassment shifted to confusion. "But I thought expressing that was inappropriate, that I should keep it professional." Meridian moved closer, her presence carrying emotional harmonics that felt like warmth and curiosity. In Velari culture, emotional honesty isn't inappropriate, suppression is. You've been radiating appreciation and attraction while simultaneously projecting shame and suppression. It's created this discordant harmony that's been fascinating to observe. She tilted her head, studying him with what might be affection. "Do you know what I've never experienced in 6 months? Dishonesty, manipulation, the predatory emotional patterns we sometimes sense from those who view attraction as opportunity for exploitation. Your feelings have been consistently respectful, even as you felt ashamed of having them." Adrian struggled to process this. "So you're not offended?" "Offended? You've just given me the first truly unguarded emotional moment since we met. Do you understand how rare that is? Every interaction you've been carefully controlling, filtering, presenting only what you think is appropriate. Just now, for one moment, you simply felt something honestly. Her emotional presence intensified, colors Adrian couldn't see but somehow felt warming the space between them. That honesty is precious. Don't apologize for it. Their conversation transformed. Meridian explained that Velari culture viewed emotional transparency as fundamental to trust. The careful emotional control Adrian had been practicing, which he thought was respectful, actually read as distance and guardedness. His moment of unguarded appreciation wasn't offensive. It was the first time she'd fully sensed his genuine feelings. Adrian admitted something he'd been afraid to acknowledge. I've been terrified that my attraction was some kind of violation, that experiencing it made me unprofessional. Human culture teaches us to completely separate professional relationships from personal feelings. Meridian's response carried compassion and surprise. But feelings aren't actions. You've never acted inappropriately, never leveraged your position, never made me uncomfortable. You've simply felt attraction while maintaining perfect professional boundaries. Why would that be shameful? A perspective Adrian had never considered. Human culture often treated attraction itself as transgression. The Velari separated feeling from action, accepting that emotions exist while holding individuals responsible only for their choices. Among my people, Meridian explained, we would find your approach, feeling attraction while behaving with consistent respect, to be exactly correct. The shame you carry about having feelings seems like being ashamed of breathing. The conversation deepened into philosophical territory, exploring fundamental differences between species that prize transparency and those built around privacy and suppression. Adrian realized his careful control had actually prevented genuine connection, because Meridian could sense the walls he maintained. As preparation continued, Adrian experimented with something terrifying, allowing emotional responses to simply exist without suppressing them. When Meridian demonstrated another stance and he found it elegant, he let himself appreciate it without shame. The effect was immediate. Her presence became warmer, more engaged. "There you are," she said softly. "I've been waiting months to meet the person behind the careful walls." She moved closer, carrying emotional harmonics that felt like invitation. "I should tell you something. Your attraction hasn't been one-sided. I've been sensing it and reflecting it back for months, but you've been so controlled that you never perceived my responses." Adrian's breath caught. "You've been attracted to me, fascinated by you since our second meeting. Your emotional patterns are unlike anything I've experienced, complex, layered, controlled, yet passionate. I've wanted to know the person beneath the diplomatic facade, but you've kept such careful distance." Her emotional presence intensified. "Now I'm finally sensing you clearly. And yes, what I sense is very appealing." They attended the Festival of Resonance together, where Adrian experienced what Velari called emotional music, harmonics of thousands of beings allowing feelings to resonate freely, creating symphonies of shared experience his human perception could only partly grasp. As Adrian allowed genuine emotional responses, wonder, joy, attraction, occasional overwhelm, to exist without shame, other Velari began responding differently. The careful distance dissolved. They approached with curiosity, wanting to experience this human who was finally allowing himself to be perceived clearly. One elder told him, "We've been waiting to meet you. The walls have been polite but lonely." Word spread through Velari society about the human who learned emotional honesty. Adrian's relationship with Meridian evolved into something neither had words for, not quite romance in human terms, not quite Velari emotional bonding, but something new. They called it resonance partnership, built on genuine transparency and mutual respect. The story reached its climax during critical diplomatic negotiations. A trade dispute had stalled because human negotiators projected false confidence over genuine concerns, which Velari sensed as dishonesty. They were prepared to abandon negotiations. Adrian entered and did something unprecedented. He stopped managing his emotional presentation entirely. He acknowledged uncertainty, admitted concerns, allowed his genuine respect for Velari culture, and hopes for partnership to resonate without diplomatic filtering. The effect stunned both delegations. Velari delegates sensed honesty for the first time from human representatives. The negotiation transformed from adversarial positioning to collaborative problem-solving. Afterward, the senior human diplomat pulled Adrian aside. "You just threw out every diplomatic protocol about maintaining controlled presentation. You showed weakness, uncertainty, personal feelings." Adrian, standing beside Meridian, whose emotional presence radiated pride, responded, "I showed honesty, and it worked better than every carefully controlled strategy. Maybe we've been approaching this wrong, treating emotional transparency as vulnerability rather than strength." The story ends with Adrian teaching newly arriving diplomats about Velari culture. Meridian sits beside him, their emotional resonance visible to every Velari as harmonics of mutual respect, attraction, and something deeper neither species has quite named. "One honest mistake taught me that what I'd been calling professionalism was actually fear," Adrian tells them. "The Velari don't respect emotional control. They respect emotional authenticity paired with ethical behavior. You can feel attraction and maintain boundaries. You can be fully honest about your inner experience while acting with perfect integrity." Meridian adds, "And we've learned that your species' depth of emotional experience, once you allow yourselves to share it, creates harmonics we've never encountered. When you finally let it resonate, it's breathtaking." Their partnership becomes a model for human-Velari relations, proof that genuine connection requires not perfect control but honest transparency, not suppression of feeling but ethical management of action. And it all began with one diplomat letting his thoughts slip and discovering not shame but laughter, acceptance, and the radical invitation to be honest about what he felt.